Hey everybody, how you doing? Good afternoon. It is Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. It's my favorite show of the week. It is College Football Frenzy. Not many fans are college football fans, but when it comes to college football, I know at 11:59 a.m. I can call one guy. 11:59 p.m. I can call the same guy, Mr. Bill Furman. Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Get
Oh,
ready, get
Bill.
ready to kick it off. It's time.
Yes, Bill. It's finally here. Soft weekend of opening college football season is finally here, and not many games on the slate, but it's something we've been waiting for, Bill.
Oh, absolutely. And August 26th seems a little early
It does.
to,
It
to,
does.
to
Yes.
be kicking it off. But the Navy Notre Dame game from Ireland is what a great way to start the season. Probably not going to be much of a contest. We'll talk about that.
Definitely.
But what a way to start the season. And man, we'll go from now till
Oh,
February, right?
boy, last thing I remember, Bill, going to sleep and saying, "Well, Georgia's back-to-back national champs," and then finally you wait, all these months, and finally you can say it's a new season. My team is still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one good thing.
Hey, another interesting game on the opening slate. How would you like to be Hawaii, the Warriors? They're not the Rainbow Warriors anymore. I don't think they're the
Hmm.
Warriors.
Hmm.
They get to come to Vanderbilt.
Wow, talk about it like a huge trip, a layover, jet lag, everything
Uh,
there, and just like they couldn't give you a team maybe on the West Coast maybe to open the season. I mean,
right, or maybe Vanderbilt could have gone to Hawaii. How about that?
as a Vanderbilt player, I would love to. They're like, hey, coach, are we on the slate to go to Hawaii or are they coming here? Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh goodness.
Oh, man, I tell you. Bill, speaking of that, like, I know you coach football, you coached many years. And is that layover really a thing, Bill? I mean, I know Pop Warner up here, we don't travel. We travel 2 hours away at the most. But do you really think it's a big layover, especially like Hawaii coming to Vanderbilt?
Well, I think when you're going to Hawaii, I think it certainly has an effect,
Hmm.
and maybe Hawaii even on what the short flights are for them to come to California
True.
or anywhere, it might be a big deal. But everything now is charter flights, and they're flying fast, and you know
Hmm.
you can go from East Coast to West Coast probably on a charter in 3 or 4 hours, and
Sure.
you're not stopping for anything. I don't really think that's that big of a deal
Hmm.
much anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's just, I mean, as a college athlete, you think about like, okay, my first game, going, oh, coach, we got to travel 5 hours to LA, 5 hours to Vanderbilt, 10-hour flight. Oh, come on, coach, really? But and listen, it's a privilege to do that. I mean, Hawaii, they knew what they were getting into, actually, being the
Yeah.
only team in Hawaii that boundary. So, man, I tell you, Bill, I'm just so stoked because college football is actually here. It's really here.
Me too. And your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're going to
Yes.
come out of the chutes against the midshipmen. That's I know a game that you're going to be tuned into
Hmm.
real quick. You want to see how the quarterback's going to
Well,
play,
you know
and
what,
we
Bill? Let's get into. Let's just talk about it right now. Let's talk about it.
all
Opening
right,
weekend. Why as well talk about it, Bill?
let's
Since
do it.
you opened it up, let's talk about it.
All right. So I didn't see the line yet. I haven't
Mhm.
looked, but what do you
20 and a
think?
half. 20 and a half, Bill.
I was going to say 31. What do you
Goodness
think?
gracious, Bill.
I'm not really expecting Navy's going to do too much. They were a little bit better last year than they had been when Coach Matalota,
Yes.
Kenny Matalota,
Talapuda. What? Yeah.
got loose. He was a good coach there, but I'm expecting big things from Notre Dame, and we'll see. I would expect them to make a real good showing.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do hope they do that. I mean, I've drank the Kool Aid, Bill. A lot of teams you shouldn't do it as a fan, but I have drank the same heart and Kool Aid. I really have. But my thing is, Gerard Parker, the new offensive coordinator. I don't know what he's about, though. I don't know if it's going to be a vanilla. Are we? And in the spring game, we did see a lot of running the ball with Austin Cedric, which is a great running back as well. Big back. But I really want to see Sam Hartman because this is finally, Bill, I can say as a Notre Dame fan, we finally have a quarterback that can live up to his potential. Going back Tommy Reese, Brady Quinn, Ian Book, that didn't pan out well. Sam Hartman was pretty much, I want to say, the prized possession of the transfer portal. Bill, what do you think
Yeah.
about
Well, oh yeah, I would say probably so. There were so many good quarterbacks that did move around, but
that? Yes.
he's certainly in the group. He's a good player, and
Hmm.
I think the other thing I think for Notre Dame in this game, looking at their schedule, they come back with Tennessee State, NC State, Central
Hmm.
Michigan before the Buckeyes in
Yes.
week 5. I don't know that you're going to see a whole lot in
Hmm.
this Navy game. Um, I think they're going to play it close to the vest. NC State on the road,
Hmm.
might be a decent game, but pretty much they got cupcakes leading up to the Buckeyes.
That's what I mean. You do have. It's funny. I was looking at the schedule. I was talking to my friend at practice today, and he's a big USC fan. I was like, he's like Notre Dame plays a cup schedule. I was like, not really. If you really think about it, there are some teams out there that can give them some, fits out there. And the true test is Ohio State, of course. You have USC, of course, rivalry game. But there are some other teams out there. I mean, you look at North Carolina as well. They're pretty good as well. But I think the first 3 weeks, Bill, should be an easy walk for us. But I'm a little scared going into this game, Bill, because the hype of Sam Hartman, the unknown of Gerard Parker. I'm okay with the defense, but to me, Bill, Navy scares me a little bit because that triple option can get anybody fits, Bill, if you're not prepared for it.
Oh, absolutely. The good news for Notre Dame is they had the whole summer to prepare for it.
Right.
You catch them in week 8 in the middle of chaos, and all of a sudden
Hmm.
you've only got a handful of days to prepare for that triple option. It's really tough. But
I agree. I agree.
Al Golden has played against that
Yes.
triple option for a long, long time. When he
Yes, he
was
has.
Temple, he played Army, he played Navy, and
Hmm.
he certainly knows how to defend that thing. But hey, deep down in the schedule, don't forget the Irish on November 4th have to go to Clemson.
Yes, I know. Death Valley. That scares me a little bit too. I mean, it's a new team out there, but that Clemson team is just so strong. Their defense is stout again. But the offense is a little suspect to me, but it's going to be one hell of a game going to Death Valley. Last time we were there, it was a national championship implications when we lost that game in the rain. I remember that game. I cried, Bill. I really cried. But
Well,
yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't see 31 points, Bill. You're being a little gracious to me there, but I'm thinking maybe a 20-point cover. I think I would probably go that route.
well, the other thing to think about too is maybe Notre Dame takes the other approach and says, you know what, we got a new toy here, and we're going to show the
Mm,
world what we got. And they're
you know,
going to come out with Hartman and air this thing out all over the place. So
you know what? I like seeing that because that's something that I haven't seen at Notre Dame in a long time. It's becoming a O-line university run behind the big boys behind you. You know what? Let's bring out the new portion. Let's show what Sam Hartman's about. Let's go 0-60 in the first quarter.
very,
You know
very well could, very well
exactly.
could.
There's going to be some comments. Ken Fry, he's the host of the Bat Cave and Atomic Drop on Box. Also, he says go Pitt. He's a big Pitt fan. We have Ken. I
Hey,
have Glenn
he's the
saying Notre Dame.
one.
What's that?
He's the one.
He is. Well, I thought there was two. I don't know where the other one's at, Bill. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know where the other one's at though. But Joe Sullivan says Sam Hartman, let's go. Big Notre Dame fan. Sean Kilrain, he's a Notre Dame fan. See, the Notre Dame guys are out gunning you today, Bill. I'm
I
telling you.
thought Sean's a Penn State guy. No,
No, Sean is a Notre Dame fan.
come on, Sean. Come on, man.
See, when you talk Golden Dome, they do come out. They do
No,
come
no
out.
wonder you hang out with these guys.
Hey, there's a reason why we like each other. We're all cool together, you
There's
know.
nobody to tell you that you stink.
Exactly right. But you know what? As a fan, Bill, I know you. You know me. Like if my team plays like crap, I'm going to tell you, no matter what.
Oh, I
And
hear you.
that's
I
the
hear
one
you.
thing that I enjoy. I enjoy listening to all fans, but some of them, like goodness gracious, you need to turn in your Notre Dame card for me because it just doesn't pan out with what you're saying here.
Right,
But
right.
Bill, what do you think the final outcome of this score is going to be?
Well, he said 31, so
Oh,
let's
wow.
go. Let's go. That doesn't make 31. I was going to say 38-10. Let's go 41-10.
40, I can see that because Notre Dame has won the last 4 games, and it's been about a 27 point. I think 26 point was their lowest victory, and that was last 44, 24, something 20 points, but 22 points. But I'm gonna go. Man, I really want to say about drinking the Kool-Aid here, Bill, but I'm gonna go 47-17 Notre Dame.
No, so
That's
you
that.
went to 30. You jumped up there.
But you know what, Bill? Because I'm talking to you, Bill. I'm believing what you're saying here. I'm owning up to it. I believe in you, Bill. So
Just don't lay your money out there.
no, Bill. If I lose the money, I'm going to say, you know what, Bill? We have to have a talk.
Just don't go 30 and a half, right?
Bill, sometimes those half points do kill you. Let me tell you. Oh goodness.
That's right.
Sean says going out to the September 15th game versus Central Michigan. Isn't that the Chippewas?
Yeah.
Central Michigan Chippewas. Yep.
Yeah.
Now Sean has it a little bit closer. He has a 13-point game, 34-21 Notre Dame. Okay.
Wow.
I hope it doesn't get that close.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I don't know. Was Sean was thinking maybe Notre Dame isn't quite so good, or is Navy better than what I'm thinking they are? I'm not sure. That's a little tight
Yeah,
spread.
it is. I mean, I guess the element of the unknown, new Navy team, new regime, new coaching staff, the only thing for certain is they're still going to run that triple option no matter what the hell they do.
Yep.
And any team that can get fits to, Bill, like we said. But thank God it's week one. You had a whole off season to think about it, relay it. Golden smart, Freeman smart. So I think we'll be okay there. It's just these offensive. We have the weapon at quarterback. It's time for the wide receivers to show up. We got a good running back. We have O line university. So play Notre Dame football. Let's go.
Let's see. What
Yeah.
is Notre Dame football though? Is it Smash
Overhyped.
Mouth? Like you said, is
Oh,
it
oh, I was,
Smash
oh,
Mouth?
I thought you meant my category. I was going to say overhyped every year, but
Well,
that's
yeah,
just me. But
that's kind of a given, but they're like you said earlier, it's kind of like a Smash Mouth mentality now. Just and they put out great offensive linemen, and of course I love that part of it. But yeah,
yeah,
maybe this is the time they do it different.
I hope so, Bill. I mean, you look at the last quarterbacks we had: Reese, Ian Book. It didn't pan out. Even Tyler Buckner last year, a 5-star recruit, who Tommy Reese. I hate seeing him gone. I hate seeing Tyler Buckner gone. But oh well, good riddance. Have fun down at Bama. But to me, they did. We talked about this last week, Bill. A coach putting players in positions to excel.
Right.
I don't think any offensive coordinator, maybe go back to the Charlie Weiss days, maybe, or going back then where they put players in positions to excel. Tommy Reese didn't do that with his quarterbacks, Bill. He really didn't. And I
Yeah,
think it's a great start with Parker going with Hartman.
I think we talked some about this last week. I'm not sure. Tommy Reese always seemed to me to be very conservative at quarterback, whether it was
Yes.
he didn't trust his talent, or maybe the talent wasn't as good as it was hyped to be. I don't
hmm
know, but he always seemed like he played the quarterback position very close to the vest.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, last year, like even with Drew Pine, they've always had more of like a mobile quarterback, Bill, who they tried to get him in the pocket, but they never really stand, 3-step, 5-step drop. They were always on a sprint out or a rollout, trying to look for that open wide receiver, going across the middle, the progression tree. But I'm just hoping, like Sam Hartman, we know he can move, but we know he's a quarterback, a pocket presence quarterback who can give him time and he can pick you apart. That's what I'm hoping. What the identity, because Notre Dame didn't have an identity before. Okay, we're going to run the ball. Yeah, we're going to see the run the ball, but then they just throw the ball to with Buckner, who couldn't, hit anybody with a 12-foot target. That's what scared me.
Right. I'm with
Mm.
you.
Yep. There's a quick question for you, Bill. Now we just going off subject here. What college football team has the best atmosphere in your opinion? Stadium wise, I guess, where me and Bubba is what he's saying.
Well, you have to look over my head. Uh,
I've never been there, Bill. I am actually thinking about going this year because I'm only live an hour away from there. Happy Valley, Beaver Stadium. I'm thinking about going there this year, Bill. But what about the stadium, Bill? What is it?
well,
What?
the whiteout
Yes.
especially is just absolute insanity.
hmm
It is, as Kirk Herbstreit said many years ago, and Penn State promotes it. It's the greatest show in college football. It's
True.
absolutely insane. Um, so fun. The fans, everybody's into it. It is from 30, 40 minutes before the game.
hmm
It's just absolute chaos.
mm
Um, so I've been there. I've been to several different whiteouts. I've been to Notre Dame Stadium.
Yes.
I was actually at all three of the wide right Miami, Florida State games back in the day
Oh.
at the Orange Bowl and at Doak Campbell Stadium. They were fun, crazy, crazy places to go. I've been to Neyland Stadium, been to
Mm.
LSU. So I've been to some pretty cool places where, everybody has their own thing. And
hmm
I was actually at Auburn not last year, year before for my first ever Alabama Auburn game,
hmm
and
Wow. Wow.
so that was a lot of fun too.
hmm
Like I say, everybody has their own traditions; they're all good.
Yeah.
But the whiteout thing is top notch. It's the best.
Yeah, I've never been to a Penn State game. I hope last year I wanted to go so bad, but I had to take care of some things before that. But I'm definitely want to get out there. The crew were actually talking about getting out to a game. We don't care what game it is. But speaking of a whiteout, we definitely want to do a whiteout game. But Bill, I have a question. Since you've been to the LSU stadium, what does that turf look like? Because to me, that is the most weirdest hash mark I've ever seen with the numbers like so close together. Does that like play mind games with you? Because looking at it on TV is just like
It,
I don't know
it
about that.
it does. It really looks weird, but it's just the size of the numbers. They just make
Mm,
the numbers so big that it makes it look like it all kind of runs together.
okay.
Uh, but yeah, it's and I who knows why they do it that way,
Mm,
but yeah, you're
mm.
right. What you see on TV is
Yeah,
real.
it looks weird. It looks look weird. Like you look at all the other stadiums. I mean, I've seen the bluegrass, different the red grass. I've seen that, but I've LSU just stands alone, like with the visual of a field to me. But Bill, I was blessed 2 years ago to the go to the Notre Dame Virginia Tech game. That to me, Bill, was probably the best, not the best stadium I've ever been to, of course, but the atmosphere, the first 5 minutes of the game is just the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. Enter Sandman. Bill, I was 50 years old when I went. Bill, I almost had a heart attack. I thought I was going to fall up the stands. It was shaking so damn bad.
Yeah. My oldest son, coached at University of Miami,
Hmm.
and they played at Virginia Tech, and it was like 41-40 was the final,
Hmm.
something like that. And he told me, he said, and he'd been to whiteouts. He was at
Hmm.
whiteouts as a student. Um, but he said, man, it was, you really thought the press box was going to come down.
Yeah. Hmm.
It
I
was
mean,
rocking and
I remember
shaking.
it
And
was shaking, Bill. I was sitting maybe mid level, not not all the way down to the bottom, but it was just the atmosphere that I enjoyed. And I tell you, Bill, it was like you see little babies dressed in onesies. I swear to God, Bill, they were head bobbing back and forth to the sound. They groom them down there. That's what it is. It's just insane. Sean says, "What about the Virginia Tech Clemson? You ever been to anything like that?"
I have not been to Clemson,
Hmm.
and I'd like to go there. It's supposed to be really, really crazy as well.
Hmm.
One that I would like to see if it's a big game. Well, my number one go-to game, my bucket list game right now is the Red River Shootout. Oklahoma,
Oh,
Texas, and Dallas
wow.
is my
Yes.
game I want to go to. Now that I've been to the Iron Bowl,
Hmm.
and I've been to Georgia, Florida, I've been to some Miami, Florida State, some of the big rivalry games, but that's my game. Georgia,
Okay.
Oklahoma, Texas, and Dallas is
Yeah, I mean, you're
where I
more
want
like
to
I
go.
am, but going back to the tradition games, Bill. I
Yeah,
think we're both in that same category
because
where
they're
it's
going away. If you want to see them,
exactly
you better go see them
you
because
better
they're
go
going
now.
away. Yeah,
Exactly right. And the way we talked about tradition games, Bill, it's going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. And with this new alignment thing going on, it's going to be so hard to see those old games. I remember, Penn State, Miami, Miami, Notre Dame. Those games you're not going to see anymore.
yeah.
Michigan, Notre Dame, we don't see anymore.
Oh, Michigan Notre Dame was a
Oh,
early season go to game. I mean,
it
it
was.
was usually like week 3, something like
Hmm.
that, and it was can't miss football with Keith Jackson calling the
Exactly.
game most of the time, and
Hmm.
it was really good stuff.
Exactly. I remember seeing Bo Schembechler on the side, like he was going to have a heart attack sometimes the way he was screaming during these games. Every That was the
Absolutely.
Super Bowl every year for the alumni, the tradition of the colleges, and it was just so incredible watching those games, Bill.
Yeah, and I don't know if
Hmm.
you remember the Oklahoma Nebraska game was always a huge game when I was a
It
kid
was
too.
Osborne days going back to Frazier Day. Oh my goodness, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
speaking of Tommy Frazier, did I ever tell you my Tommy Frazier story?
No, talk to us about that.
Tommy Frazier, Bradenton, Manatee, Bradenton,
Hmm.
Florida, right? He comes up here to Lake Gibson, where I coached for a long time.
Hmm.
I was not coaching yet at that point, but Lake Gibson, Lakeland, and Manatee end up in a 3-way tie. Lake Gibson beat Tommy Frazier in the regular season, and then Lakeland beat Lake Gibson, and Manatee beat Lakeland. So we got a 3-way tie. They bring them all back up here to Lake Gibson on Lake Gibson's home field, and Tommy Frazier puts on a show. They end up winning. He ends up at Nebraska, and the rest is history. But
Yeah,
as a high school player, running, and he ran the option in
really.
high school. Oh yeah, yeah. That's why
Oh.
they recruited him.
Mhm.
But Bradenton Manatee, Joe Canan was the coach. Ran a tremendous program down there, but Tommy was the guy, and he fared pretty well at Nebraska.
Bill, speaking of like the option, that's something we don't see anymore. Like I run different option. We run a run and gun up here, but we do run a triple option as well if we have to. But that's something you don't see anymore. A triple option QB and being recruited. I go back to the Oklahoma days, Nebraska days where it was just a triple option show. You can't stop it. So why stop it? But Bill, let me ask you something real quick. Remember now, that's just a funny thing is going off subject here. A friend of mine at practice today, he's a huge Georgia Tech fan. And he was like, Paul, can you name one person from Georgia Tech that had the best career, but shouldn't have gone to that school? And I was like, I really can't right now. He's like, Calvin Johnson.
Oh yeah.
And I thought about that. I'm like, you're right. Arguably one of the best wide receivers in NFL history goes to Georgia Tech in a triple option just to catch what, 2 or 3 balls a game.
Yep.
That was insane when he told me that. I couldn't believe that, Bill.
Yeah, yeah, Calvin Johnson. And he was a great, and it wasn't like he was a hidden gem. He
Right.
was a great recruit when he went there.
Yes.
But he wanted to go to Georgia Tech. It was about going to school there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Well, it panned out. It panned out well for him.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely smart guy.
Yes, definitely. Before we get to our next topic here, Bill, what about the Army Navy game? How many have you? The last one I ever went to, Bill, was in Pasadena when my father was still alive. We went out to Pasadena many moons ago. That was the only Army Navy game I've ever been to. I haven't been to one at the vet though, or the link.
I have been to 6, 7,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
along the way. The very first one I saw was I want to say it was 1969, 68 or 69.
Wow.
There was a running back from Army named Bob Hines who went to St. James High School in Chester, PA, in my neighborhood growing up. And Bob won the MVP of that game. That's why I remember it so well. But that was at JFK Stadium, pal. That's how old I am.
Oh goodness, Bill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Bill, we should just change this name to the Old School College Show, Bill.
there you go. There you go. But yeah, the last 2 times I went, I was able to go through work and get in a luxury box.
Wow.
And I took my dad, who's an Army veteran, and we were right between the goalposts in the suite, and 2 years in a row, and it was just fantastic.
Wow, Bill. Now I know you probably don't remember this, but what kind of offense did they run? Do you remember what kind of offense they run during that 1969? I mean, what's 40? God, almost 50 years.
Yeah, I want to say it was just the pro stuff. It wasn't wing T stuff, but it wasn't option stuff like they run now.
Right. Okay.
I just want to say it was kind of pro offense.
Wow. Did they have helmets back then, Bill? Or
did they did. They did.
I mean, I look back at the Notre Dame games, and they have their leather helmets. That's oh goodness, I can't believe stuff like that. Looking back at it, oh man. But yeah, there's stadiums that I want to get to, Bill. Of course, maybe we can, take a trip one day. Hell, get out there and enjoy the game because I love football. Just I don't care who's playing. I just love a game, good atmosphere, and just a overall, incredible time is what I love.
Yeah. Well, one stadium that I actually went in, they weren't playing, but I just was there in town, and I went over to the stadium, and the gate was open. I walked in and walked right out on the field. Bryant-Denny.
Really?
Yeah. They were in there working. Gate was open. I walked in, walked right out through the gate, stood there. I was like, dang.
No questions asked, huh?
No. No, it was really cool.
Wow.
I'd like to see that all full,
Yes. So, I mean, you talked me into it definitely this year. I think I'm going to look into tickets to get to Happy Valley this year. I got to look at the whiteouts. I think if I have to get tickets for that, I better do that last week, pretty much for a whiteout game now.
So. Iowa is the whiteout.
Iowa, okay.
I was the whiteout, and it is, I think, September 24th, because I was looking at trying to figure out how I could pull that off after my vacation I'm going on. And
gotcha. Yes, you're going to Italy.
Yeah, don't think I can quite pull it off.
Well, Bill, if you do up there, you take a red eye up here, you're more than welcome to stay at my house. We can go down there. It's an hour away. So
all right, good deal.
Yep. But Bill, speaking of, you sent me this article this morning, not an article, but preseason All-American team, Bill, the first team All-American here. I agree with many percentages of it, but there's some that I really don't understand here. I'll let go first. So let's go line by line here. What about quarterback Caleb Williams? Consensus?
Well, I don't think you can argue with that. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think he's the king until he's not.
I agree. And USC is loaded. I mean, they have weapons. So, I mean, a mobile quarterback like that under a Lincoln Riley third year with, his progression, Heisman Trophy winner, you can't go wrong with that one. I completely agree. What about running backs here? Now, they have 2. Blake Corum, injury last year.
I think we agree on Corum.
Yes, I think he was a legitimate high. I don't, Bill, if he would have stayed healthy last year, could he have taken over Caleb Williams for that Heisman Trophy?
Probably not. I
I
mean,
agree. I agree.
probably not. I mean, he might have been in New York, but
Yes,
I don't think he wins that over Williams. Williams had too many big games,
he did. He did. I
and
mean,
he was from USC, and he was from Lincoln Riley, and blah
yeah.
blah blah. You
I
know,
mean, I don't think I heard a rumor that they call him like a quarterback whisperer, Lincoln Riley, or something like that. I mean, it's insane what he can do for
he's had a
quarterbacks.
pretty good run.
He has definitely.
Yeah,
He has. Yes, he has. Going back to what Sam Darnold days, correct?
yeah.
I'm sorry. No, Sam Bradford. I'm sorry, Sam
Sam
Bradford.
Bradford in
Yes, Sam
Oklahoma.
Bradford.
Yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
yeah.
Wow, that's insane. Okay, we agree with Blake Corum, of course. So we're top two there. They got that right. Kushan Judikins from Ole Miss, running back. What do you think? This is. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I just don't know a whole lot about him for
I
him
don't
to
either.
be a first team All American.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lot of good running backs out there, and obviously the kid can play, or they wouldn't have
Mm,
put him on here. This was what I think I sent it to you. CBS Sports, I think, put this
yes.
out,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So they know something that I certainly don't know. I'm just not all the way up on this fella yet.
Yeah, I had to look back on this kid. I mean, name wise, I could recognize the name, but looking back a little, I went on YouTube and watched a little game film. I'm not going to knock the kid; he is good, but consensus All American first, first team. I just don't see it because there's a lot of guys out there, Bill. There's a lot of guys out there. I mean, after we looked at this, we had the first team and second team. After that, we can fill in what we think like snubs or whatever. But I think that's a question mark with Keyshawn Judikins there.
Yeah,
I
no
really do.
argument there.
Yep. So we'll hold that. We'll put a little asterisk against that one. Now they do have three wide receivers here, Bill. Two from Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. We'll go with him first. I think that's consensus.
Right.
That's no
That
doubt.
that was really this position is the one that really caught my eye to want to even talk about this.
Yes.
You know, we talked about how good we thought that wide receiver room was going to be. How
Mhm.
about two Buckeyes on the first team when you just sent a first round pick to the NFL last year?
It's something. As we said last week, Bill, I think we can call Ohio State wide receiver university now. Correct?
I think you might have to. And now the big question will be who's going to throw him the football. We can talk some more about that because that's still undecided.
You know what, Bill? We'll definitely talk about. But I just see on ESPN actually, like it was yesterday, where the head coach Day said he goes, "Well, we haven't named a starting quarterback yet.
Right.
If we have to use two for the season, we will." That tells you something, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Oh
now
boy.
whether that means they're both at a high level or both playing at an average level, who knows? But
Mhm.
one can't win the job, at least at this point. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, you have Brown versus McCord. I don't know who's going to start, but I mean, with weapons like this, all you have to do is just play fundamental football. If I'm correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other one, Bill, Ubika. I can't even say his name. I'm just going to call him EE here from Ohio State. What do you see? I mean, they lost in Jigba Smith. They lost Garrett Wilson the year before. Two wide receivers, Bill. Where does Ibuka stand in your first team here? Is he too
Well,
long?
you know, geez, I mean, I would not think so.
Me either.
Because he certainly didn't come into this year like Marvin Harrison's coming into this
Right.
year. Uh, Again, this is a really loaded position, and when we talk about Odunze there, also, there's a million really, really super wide receivers now.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
prime position. So
Mhm.
again, maybe he's been sitting in the shadows of Harrison, um, but here he is, and good for him.
Well, I mean, going back to that, Bill, real quick, with Njigba Smith last year and, of course, Garrett Wilson the year before, a lot of people said that Njigba was better than Garrett Wilson was with route running. Maybe that's something they see as well. But having two wide receivers on the same team without a
Yeah,
unanimous starting quarterback right now, a really considered a backup quarterback coming into a new role after CJ Stroud left, I just don't know. That's something I'm gonna put an asterisk against. But
yeah.
with Oduze, do you think he should be there though? I mean, I think there's a couple other wide receivers I like to put on the first team first.
Yeah, me too. Again, another guy that we need to see a whole lot of
True. Hmm.
to see what he's got, but he's not overwhelming me at this
Hmm.
point.
Well, they do have a quarterback that can get him the ball in Penix. We know
Yeah,
that he's a
yep,
great arm. He's a great quarterback. I think it's his fifth year now going into NCAA. So just like Hartman, it's his fifth year as well. So I think that's what they're panning out looking at as well. Get him the ball, see what he can do. But tied in, I think this is unanimous. Brock Bowers.
oh yeah. There might not even
Oh,
be a second team guy.
I don't think there is. I had to look pan down. I know that guy, but there's no way I can flip the script on this guy here.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yep. Offensive lineman center is Cedric Von Pran from Georgia. I watched his gameplay. I think he's like a pancake city off the ball. He's so fast and he's technical, Bill.
Yeah.
Technical.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think you could say that all the way across the board.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Georgia, Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Kansas State too. They're pumping out great linemen, big, huge people that really know how to play the game. And now, they're getting more and more athletic as well.
Yes.
Not just big crunchers like they were in the day. They're being more and more athletic and
Mm-hmm.
really, really good football players. I got no problem with anybody on this in
Yeah,
this.
I agree. I agree 100%. Like I was telling my team today, I actually showed them this list, and they were like, "Why do they even put offensive lineman?" I was like, "Offensive lineman. That's where the game starts, right there, friend." And I do a thing at Bill at practice where I take my offensive line at the end of practice once a week just to have fun with it, to build the team flow. I take my offensive lineman, and my quarterback stays the same, but my offensive linemen become my running backs, and my running backs, my wide receivers become my linemen.
Right?
And I'm like, well, let's go to it. Do we hit? Yes, he hit. Let's go full strength here. Let's see where the men are at. They're the
Okay.
offensive linemen.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
cool.
yeah, we love doing that. I mean, this way it's team flow. Like, okay, you know what? Now after every time we score, your running backs better get your butt down there and give a high five or a butt smack or a helmet hit to every offensive lineman down there. You better do it, or you know what? You're benched. I'll tell you that. That's what I tell them every time.
That's right. Because guess what? You ain't doing it without them.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what I tell the quarterback. Like, look, pray for your life because those five gentlemen in front of you, they are your brothers, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, right there, every play. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree, Bill. This offensive lineman is stout here. You can't go wrong. You look at, I mean, Big Ten, you have three guys there, of course. Georgia, you can't go wrong offense, defensively. Kansas State, Cooper Beachy, I looked at his tape as well. Insane size, off the ball mobility. And I've never seen a guard that can move like these guys now do, Bill. I
Yeah.
mean, pulling, basically running at like a 4-5, basically what it looks like on the field. But it's insane. It really is.
Yep. The only one that can really get away with it anymore, it seems like, is the center. And I think if you go to the NFL, you see how Jason Kelsey plays. And
Yes,
that's
yes.
kind of the maybe the model,
Mhm.
but you're not all going to be able to do it as light as Jason Kelsey. Well, some of these guys now are
Mhm.
so athletic, you don't have to be as light as Jason Kelsey, and you can still move your feet.
Yeah, and
And
that's one of the things. I'm a Cowboy fan, Bill. You're a diehard Eagles fan, and a friend of us was talking about Jason Kelsey today, and he was like, What two words can you describe him?" I'm like, "Well, number one, undersized, but number two, the heart of a champion, and that
yeah,
overcompensates every your size and mobility. It
yeah.
really does.
And I
Insane.
think the other thing with him is footwork and speed.
Exactly.
He's
Exactly.
just he's mechanically he's fantastic, and he's got great feet.
Hmm.
And that's why he's able. You pull your center on every play almost. What
Yeah.
the Eagles do a lot of plays.
Hmm.
But it's because he's so athletic.
Exactly. That's one of the things, playing center, Bill, you coached it. Your center is your quarterback offensive lineman is what he is. He reads the block. He knows when to down block. He knows to, pan off here, go here. And when he listens to that quarterback, like I watch a lot of games, like I would go back to the Peyton Manning games with Jeff Saturday, just
Yeah,
listening to him, where Peyton would call a play and Jeff would still be audible and like, here, 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 you have him. And Peyton's like, let's go, let's go. And I remember a comment where what are you talking about? He's like, you want to get killed? He was coming. I read it. We need to ship this way, ship that way. And that's what Jason Kelsey is to me. He's undersized, but man of all people, I tell you, Bill,
yes, yep.
he is.
I'm a huge fan.
I think you are, aren't you? Well, let's get into team two here. Preseason second team All American, Bill. Now, Drake May. Now, what do you think about Drake May? I mean, there was a quarterback last week. You remember JJ McCarthy. I mean,
Right.
what do you think between those guys?
I think Drake May is a little higher here on this list than I would put him.
I agree.
I think he's going to be a really good player,
Mhm.
but to be second team All American seems a bit high. Show me a little bit more.
Exactly. I agree. I'm going to same boat as you, Bill. We'll definitely talk. I think we're going to put an asterisk next to that one, and we'll talk about maybe a little quarterback slot for that one there. Um, Raheem Sanders, Arkansas, and Braylon Allen. I love Braylon Allen for Wisconsin. You can't go wrong with a Wisconsin Badger running back. They're a dime a dozen what they produce. I love his moves, speed, and he's a great ball catcher out of the backfield, too.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to put him there, but Raheem Sanders, I really don't know a lot of game film on him, Bill.
Yeah, me either. I do know he had a couple big games, and maybe
Mhm.
that's a lot of what they're looking at, a lot of big game potential with him. Um, but man, he's going to have a brutal schedule, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. You're putting up a whole lot of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I want to revisit this, Bill. You know, maybe at the end of the season here, we'll keep this overlay here, and we'll pan it out and say, well, that didn't pan out. CBS, you know, that didn't pan out there. So we'll revisit this at the end of the season here. But
There you go.
all right, so we agree. Do you agree with Braylon Allen?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I'm
okay,
all on board with the Wisconsin running back. You
okay.
can't argue with that.
Agree, agree. All right, wide receivers. Now this is questionable to me, Bill. I think all three are questionable. I'm going to say 2 out of 3 to me. Malik Neighbors out of LSU. You're an LSU guy down there. You see a lot of their games, Bill. What do you see with him?
Well, I think he's good. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
really good. I think he's a first round pick,
Mm-hmm.
maybe later first round pick, but I think
Right.
he's a first round pick kind of talent. Now,
Mm-hmm.
whether they can get him the football, your boy Brian Kelly, we'll see what he has in store for LSU this year. But if they try to get this kid the ball, he can be a game breaker.
I agree. I agree with that one. That was my one that I definitely would keep unanimous there. Uh, Jacob Cowing, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm not up on Jacob Cowling. I don't really know him much.
Me either. I really didn't watch him a lot. I had to look him up a little bit. You know, just I mean, looking at. Of course, they're going to show highlights. They don't show his route running. You know, tree of mobility. They didn't show that, but I don't know. He's questionable to me. I think it's more to me, Bill, name wise. I don't know much about him, so I'm going to let it just pan out with that one.
I'm with you.
hmm Xavier Worthy. I like this kid. I like this wide receiver. Very physical, off the ball. You can't guard him 1-on-1. You are going to need safety help, but I think it's what benefits him, Bill, is you have two possible starting quarterbacks, two possible NFL draft picks coming out playing quarterback. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons why they gave him a little nod to put him second team.
Yeah, and I think the thing that surprised me to lump these two together is they put the tight end and the wide receiver both from Texas on this team,
Yes.
which surprised me a little bit
hmm
because if you're talking about Manning, he's unknown. We haven't seen him. We
hmm
got a lot of hype, but this is college now. He's got to get on the field. We got to see what he can do.
Very true.
Ours, we know he can play quarterback, but we'll
hmm
see. We'll see how this goes. See what Sarkisian has. I
I'm not a
What
believer
are
in
the other?
Sarkisian.
I'm not putting both of these guys on my All American team.
No, I mean to me, Bill. If I had to pick one of them, I'm probably going to go Tavion Sanders because we definitely need a tight end number two behind Bowers, and that's just a one versus a 10-step drop at tight end. So I'm
There you
probably
go.
going to go Tavion Sanders here, Bill.
I'm with you.
Mhm. The offensive lineman, Bill. I think we can agree with this one here. I mean, I like him here. Once again, you're the only one you're looking at is Boston College, which is a good running team as well. Zach Frazier, I didn't even know who he was. I actually had to look him up at West Virginia.
Yeah, uh, he's another beast, though. He's
Is he
he's
okay?
one of those really good players. We'll find out when he opens up against Penn State because Penn State's got a really good defensive line.
Yes.
Zach Frazier and his bunch are going to have their hands full.
hmm
When you go over to Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, he's good.
Yes.
Alabama, he's good.
hmm
Uh, Not having an Alabama guy on that first team, that was a little
Surprising.
surprising to me.
Surprising. I mean, you
Yeah,
look at Alabama, consensus All American all the way across the board, 5-star recruits from 1 to 70 players automatic. And that's something surprising when you don't see an Alabama, especially Alabama running back,
yeah, right.
if you think about it. But let's go back to first team. Where are the snubs here?
Well,
I think the first one was going to be the running back from Ole Miss, Judkins.
yeah, but I don't really know who I'm going to replace him with.
Okay.
Uh, uh, I'm a little biased because I like both those Penn State kids. I think
I know you do.
if
I know
one of
you
them
do.
got the ball a lot,
Yes.
if Singleton got the ball a lot, he would certainly be on this
Yeah, I
All
did. I
American
do
team.
think he made third team or fourth team, if I'm correct. I did
Yeah,
see his name pop up.
yeah. I mean, those guys are both going to get 1,000 yards probably if they're
hmm
healthy, but one of them's not going to get 1,800. And if he got the ball a lot, he would be that guy, and he'd be on this team.
hmm Now, you when you sent me the article, we were talking about it. Texting back and forth. Where does Will Shipley fit into this?
I, I think Shipley should be on this team. I
Mhm.
like him. I
I
like
do
him a
too.
lot.
He's Mr. Everything to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think he should definitely be on this team someplace.
I agree. I agree with them. Now, do you put him on the first team or second team, Bill?
Well, Odunze, I don't know about. Maybe he could go in that Odunze spot. What do you think?
Okay, you want to put him on the second team?
Yeah. No, the
All right,
first team.
first team. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put him there. I agree with that. I love Shipley. I think he's going to be all Clemson again as well. I mean, he runs the ball hard. He runs between tackles, off tackle, and if it's 4th and 1, he just give me the ball. He'll take it from you.
Yep.
The other guy that I looked at was Trevion Henderson from Ohio State. I love him. I love the way he runs. He reminds me of sort of like Ezekiel Elliott as well. He runs between the tackles and he has speed too. And Bill, what better way when you have what they call is wide receiver university, hand the ball off behind this offensive line too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Ohio State's just been so good. We can call them wide receiver university. They can run the football too. They're
Oh,
good.
definitely,
They've just
definitely.
been good. They've been
Hmm.
pumping out good running backs as well as good wide
Yes,
receivers.
definitely, definitely. I agree with that 100%. To me, I think Trayvon Henderson. I put Will Shipley in there as well. Probably second team, first team and second team. We'll just talk about them. I think Shipley should be in there as well as Trevion Henderson to me. But Bill, there's a quarterback that I want to mention. Where do you put Michael Penix?
Man, I just don't know that you could put him up in this group.
Okay, okay. I have him 2-3. I actually have him ahead of Drake May for me. Reason why? Veteran,
Yeah.
second year under the system in Washington, played at Indiana for years, great quarterback there. But I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more, Bill, because they just did lose their number one running back this week to an ACL as well. So I think they're talking about, they interviewed Penix and they said, well, we're just going to have to throw the ball to whoever's open, which tells me, like, okay, he's not afraid to. He doesn't single out one wide receiver. So that Romeo Oduzzi is not really going to be the number one focus on the first team. They're a wide receiver.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem with replacing May,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure if Penix is my guy. I want to see. I'd want to see a little more of some of these transfers and see how they all
Can
sort
we
themselves out.
can we say Sam Hartman?
Possibly.
I,
Possibly.
I don't think so, Joe. Bill, I'm just going back with the
Possibly.
Notre Dame quarterbacks in the past. I've seen too much of what I've seen, so I can't put any quarterback in there unless maybe your name is Joe Heisman. Honestly,
Oh my goodness gracious!
I'm just being serious there, Bill.
All right, all right.
Now,
Hey,
tight end. Go ahead.
hey, I wanted to ask you: are we going to do the defense next week? If not, I got something I want to throw at you.
Yeah, you want to do it next week, but whatever you want to talk about tonight, we can go ahead. We'll give a
All
little
right.
teaser if you want.
Well, we can do it next week, but
Okay.
I want to throw one out at your second team linebacker from the Prep, Jeremiah Trotter,
Yes, Bill. I
junior
think.
from Clemson.
Mm, Bill, I love this kid. I used to watch him in high school, and then when he down at Clemson, he reminds me of the Axe, his dad. He reminds me of him so much. He's a ball hawk. He hits every gap. He's not afraid to make a tackle. And one thing, Bill, he has short term memory to me. If he makes a bad play, next play, he's already forgot that. He's coming back harder, and he learned from that mistake. I think he's unanimous first team All American. I think he's first team, Bill.
Oh, well, this grouping again, we won't go too far into it,
Hmm.
but have two Clemson linebackers on the second team. So
Okay,
that's interesting too. But we'll
it
we'll
is.
talk more about it. I just want to throw that out there since he's a Prep guy, and I know that just makes you smile.
It does. Well, speaking of the prep, Bill, I mean, anything else you want to talk about with the first and second team All Americans here?
We are good for now.
Mhm. But Bill, there's one name I want to ask you real quick. I know you're down in Florida. Johnny Wilson. Bill, watching this guy, I think he's a human Deion Sanders highlight film guy. It's insane at Florida State.
Yeah, yeah. They got it going on at Florida State.
They do. I think they beat LSU week one. Well, their opening week. I really do. I do, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be their season. They've got really high expectations. So does LSU. It's a home game for Florida State, but it's in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that'll play out. It's Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida State really feels like they've turned the corner and that they are for real. And if they get knocked off by LSU, it's gonna hurt them in a big way mentally as much as anything.
Yeah.
Johnny Wilson's good, really good.
I know. I couldn't believe it. When I first watched him last year when he was a freshman, Bill, and the announcer came on and said, Johnny Wilson streaking down the middle, 6'5" Johnny Wilson. I'm like, wait a minute, did he say 6'5"? The kid
Yeah.
runs like a gazelle, hands like anything. The Sarmin tissue hands where the ball just touches you and he just lays it right in. It's so beautiful watching him play.
Yeah.
Really is.
Absolutely.
He was my one of my dark horses. I would put him in top 2 team definitely to me.
All right. Now I got a name for you to watch,
Okay,
and I don't know how this is going to sort itself out.
we'll
True
come we'll come back
freshman.
to it. Oh, true
True
freshman.
freshman.
True
Uh,
freshman.
Cormani McBride. Cormani. Oh, his name just jumped out of my McLean. McLean. His name just jumped out of my head.
Where does he play, Bill?
He played at Lake Gibson down here where I am. He
Okay,
transferred to Lakeland and played his senior year at Lakeland. He's the number one rated defensive back in the country.
okay.
He was verbal commit to the University of Miami. He flipped, and he is now Coach Deion Sanders' guy. And
Wow,
he's at
wow.
Colorado. Like I say, he's a true freshman. He's just
Mhm.
getting there. He's got all the hype. He left Miami at the altar,
Ugh,
but he
ugh.
got a little bit of Coach Sanders in him, and he jumped ship and headed that way. So go to
Okay,
watch him.
okay.
Tremendous high school player. Unfortunately, he skipped schools and left ours and went over to Lakeland, which we don't really like that down here. But yeah, he's a great player, and
Okay.
so Cormani McLean, check him out.
Okay, definitely will on that one. Yeah, I mean, going to Coach Sanders. I mean, you're a DB going to primetime university out there. What better way from learning from the best? So
That's right.
wish him well. And in some categories, as you say, wish him well, but some categories, as you say, we hope you stayed home.
Yeah, yeah,
Speaking of high school football here, Bill, this is we'll get into it all here. I love talking high school football as much as you do. You're in prime central down there, Bill. I mean, you pretty much have 50% of the top 10 category, and you're Lake of the Woods down in Florida. But
yeah.
oh,
There's just tremendous football down here. Everywhere you go,
hmm
you can see here St. Thomas Aquinas,
hmm
IMG, they're state champions. Chaminade Madonna is a powerhouse and down in
hmm
Hollywood. Most of these teams are down. This bunch is in South Florida, except for IMG
hmm
down in that Miami area. But man, the talent, the speed, the
Bill,
athleticism
my
is just
question to you is
crazy.
where's Lakeland?
Lakeland is between Orlando and Tampa, Disney World and Tampa, right down
Okay,
I-4.
okay,
We can be from my house. I could be in the Disney World parking lot in 35 minutes, and I could be in
gotcha,
Tampa Airport in 35 minutes.
gotcha. Okay,
So
okay.
kind of
Is
Central Florida.
is Lakeland having a bad year this year?
No,
No.
well, they're defending state champions.
hmm
They their head coach was there for 50 years. He
hmm
was the Florida college or Florida high school coach of the century.
Wow,
This is his
wow.
first year retired. So
Oof.
one of his
Mm.
assistants took over. They're still loaded with talent.
Okay, okay.
They still recruit. So there's that.
That that
Uh,
key that keyword recruit, Bill.
yeah, yeah. So they have a junior quarterback named Xander Smith. He was at Palmetto High
Okay,
School over on the West Coast. Threw for 1,638 yards and 14 touchdowns and
gotcha,
transferred over to Lakeland.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
he's their guy. They got a lot going on, but now I'll tell you what, as you know, they play St. Joe Prep
yes.
week 3 for them. So
hmm
they go to Miami, New Orleans first and play a really tough team down there
hmm
on the road. Then they play Largo at away, and then the prep comes to Lakeland. And cool little stadium. The boys will have a good time playing there. It's a fun
yes.
place to be.
I can't wait. My game this week, of course, Bill. Coming up this Saturday is IMG versus St. Joe's Prep. I'm a huge St. Joe's Prep guy. My kids went to school there,
Yep.
and to me, Bill, it's a lot of when you look at other teams like in Florida, they just reload. They reload with talent, of course, down there. It's basically in your area. It's pick your poison where you want to go. You want to play here, you want to play there. You're going to be in the top 5 no matter what. But Prep here, they recruit. That keyword recruit. We know that. You want to be the best in PA. You go to Prep, of course. We know that. But there's a lot that they reload this year, Bill. I mean, they lost Josiah Trotter going down to West Virginia, of course, but Samari Jones, a three-time champion, of course, he's starting a quarterback again in his senior year, which is good. But Bill, the one thing I want to talk about is offensive linemen. Did you see the size of these kids this year starting?
Incredible.
It's 320, 320, 300, 290, 298.
Yeah.
That's their
Incredible.
offensive line, Bill.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah. The biggest thing I see when a team like St. Joe Prep, and this goes back for years,
Hmm.
the speed and the athleticism that comes from this area
Yes.
is just ridiculous. The big,
Yes.
huge, great linemen, great players, uh,
I remember they
tough,
got
tough,
John Runyon back in the day.
right?
With the prep. Hmm.
Yeah, tough kids. There's
Or
a
his son.
ton of them up north,
Hmm.
and whether they can match up with the speed and athleticism, because you're going to see a pile of them,
Yes.
not
Oh
not
yes.
one fast kid. You're
Oh
going to see a
yes.
pile of them.
Sort of reminds me of that movie, Remember the Titans, when the DB, Ryan Gosling, or I think his name was, said, Coach, I can't keep up with this team. I can keep up with this team, but I can't keep up with this team. That's what, to me, prep playing a Florida team looks like to me. It really
Yeah.
does, Phil.
Well, see, when I look at St. Joe Prep, I look at St. Thomas Aquinas. They're
Yes.
very similar in how they go about their business. They
Hmm.
recruit in generally in their area,
Hmm.
and they get the best kids, in their area. IMG recruits nationally.
Yes, of course. Hmm.
That's a whole different beast. So, uh, you know, I think Prep's in a little bit of trouble this week.
I think so, too. There was maybe another reason why I didn't tell you I didn't want to go down to the game. I didn't want to be, coming back on a charter flight and saying, that wasn't a good outing. I feel that way. I definitely think it's going to be a double score win. I think it's probably going to be, I'm going to say, being between 14 to 21 point win for IMG this week. I really do.
It could be.
I really do.
I found this article. I won't bore you with too much of
No.
this
Hmm.
stuff, but let me hit you up with a couple of
Hmm.
things. Ellis Robinson, the fourth cornerback, 5-star committed to Georgia. David Stone, defensive lineman, 6'4", 270, 5-star uncommitted. Jordan Seaton, linebacker, 6'5", 287, 4-star uncommitted. Nathaniel Awosa Boateng, linebacker, 6'2", 205, 4-star uncommitted. Anthony Rogers, running back, junior, 5'8", 185, 4-star, uncommitted. Uh, another 4-star, another 4-star, another 4-star, 4-star quarterback, 3-star. He's going to Liberty, committed to
Hmm.
Liberty. Another 4-star running back. This is the roster. There's a 4-star offensive tackle going to
Wow.
Mississippi State. 4-star committed to Tennessee as an athlete. 6'4", 230 as an athlete going to Tennessee. And it's just, here's a 4-star wide receiver committed to Florida. This is all the same team.
Bill, I thought you were talking about. I didn't know you were talking about IMG. I thought you were actually talking about Alabama University. That's what I thought you were talking about for a second.
No.
The size, and that's, oh my God, Bill.
Here's a safety, 5'10", 180, 4-star committed to Texas. So, yeah, this was in the Herald Tribune, a Sarasota newspaper. I happened to find it because I knew we were going to talk
Bill,
about this game.
Prep has two 5-star recruits already committed. They have Amaliar Oligard, 5-star recruit quarterback, of course, who might be going to Penn State as they're looking at, and then Samari Jones with a 3-star quarterback. That's all they have is returning. They lost
Yeah.
4-star Josiah Trotter last year, but
Yeah. Well, and like
well,
I say, you got to play the game, obviously, but this is a national recruiting organization. Those kids didn't
oh
all live
sure.
in the neighborhood. You know what I
And you know
mean?
what, Bill? Like, a lot of people up here, like the biggest school around here is Richland High School around here, which they win their division every year. And I was talking to the head coach last year, and I was like, "You ever heard of prep?" He's like, "Oh, you recruit." I'm like, "You're right, they do. Half the schools in the world recruit, so why not?" But then he's like, "Oh, you guys play a excuse my language, with a bullshit schedule." I was like, "Have you looked at Max Prep lately? Why don't you go back and look at that? I'll send you the link." IMG, St. Quantus, okay? Bishop McGorman, they played 4 years ago. They got killed. But I was like, DeSalle, Texas, they went down there. DeSoto, Texas, they play a national schedule. He's like,
Yep.
oh, that hurts you. I was like, it actually don't. Why do you think 5 out of 7 state championships outright for the prep? They play a great schedule in the beginning. You're not going to win number one with the talent out there. You're not ever going to win number one. It's all going to be all them teams. But when you come back to PA, it's a cakewalk, Bill. It's a
Yeah.
cakewalk.
Well, and the idea is to win the state championship.
Exactly.
All this high school national championships, all mythical anyway. So,
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
you could end up at the end of the year and have 10 undefeated teams, and somebody decides who's better than who. You know,
Exactly.
you
Hmm.
you win your state championships on the field. That's the goal.
Right. I mean, I would love watching like a Pop Winter League, Bill, where you go your top 6 teams, I mean, I remember going back, Concord de la Salle's always been in their top 10. They had that remarkable stat where I think it was like over almost 100 games won, like straight wise, a
Yeah.
winning streak. Then you look at Bishop McGorman, they were just in a shootout last week. They pulled it out. But you look at these teams, I mean, just going through Florida teams, Bill, is a gauntlet in itself.
Yep.
That's just insane the way it is. I mean, a lot of people don't look at high school football, but I get a lot of the games. I don't get them like you do down there, of course, televised, but do try to watch the highlights of them. And I tell you what, looking at all these teams in Florida, it's insane. It really is.
Yeah, and what is it's great for just great for football is when
Hmm.
you look at like this list: number 3 playing number 9, number 4 playing number 10,
Yes,
12 playing 7. That's just fantastic for
it
college
is.
or for high school football, and it's great for the fans.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
the great thing is, going out of state, Bill. I mean, you don't really see that a lot from high school teams. Like around here, no team, they travel an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to play, in off season. But it tells you a lot about the manufacturing of the college, of the high school itself, how they travel to go down to play the best. Because number one, it's eyes on them, of course. Number two, and it makes you better. And it's talent wise, it's recruiting, just like you said. You play the best to become the best. And
that's
what
right.
better way? All eyes are on you. So, I mean, of course, it's up here, in PA. We're not going to get the kids down in Florida. Otherwise, I don't know if you remember a name Chris Whitney, Bill.
No.
He played at Villanova University, won the first championship at Villanova, played at Prep as quarterback.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
There was so much violations with him that you can't go back nowadays. He actually lived in California, Bill, and they recruited him, bought his mom a house, got his dad a job right down the street, down at Prep, right down the street from him at some like a manufacturing place. Played there 3 years, and back then they didn't have the PIA AA championship at that point. They didn't have all that, but they won like 37 games straight with Chris Whitney, and he wasn't even a product of Philadelphia. He was raised, born, grew up for say 15 years of his life in California, then all of a sudden comes to PA and plays for Prep.
There you
That's
go.
insane.
There
That's
you go.
insane. But Bill, I know next week we're going to work on getting a special guest, Matt Groth. Can you talk about him a little bit if we can get him on next week?
Yeah, Matt Grothy, I coached him back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Played at the University of South Florida. Put the University of South Florida football program on the map. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Certainly considered the greatest offensive player to ever come out of that school.
Definitely.
And they got to number 2 in the country with Matt as the quarterback. And
Yes.
great
Yes.
kid and great player. And he'll be fun. He loves to talk ball and still
Definitely.
supports USF. And he'll be fun. The Crimson Tide's coming to South Florida this year, so we
Mm.
could certainly talk to him about that. If you recall, maybe you recall, is when he played, they went to Auburn. USF went to Auburn with no chance and
Mm-hmm.
beat Auburn uh,
Wow.
when Matt was the quarterback, and that was the start of kind of that magical season they had that year.
That's insane. I got so many questions. Like I just want to pick his brain. I mean, that's something. Even with you, Bill, I love picking your brain because there's like I said at the beginning, there's no other person I'd rather do this show with because there's certain people I call certain things, and you're the walking encyclopedia of college football, Bill. You really are to me.
Well, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I
You
appreciate it.
really are.
I enjoyed doing this with you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Bill. It means a lot to me for you to say that and have the time to come on here and do this with me. I really enjoy it because I know Saturdays you're the same way I am. You get your errands done before 11 o'clock. You get home and you don't leave your TV until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Am I
That's right.
correct?
That's right.
That's the way I am, Bill. Exactly.
Multiple TVs.
Yes, thank God for that. I have a 130-inch monitor downstairs, well, a projection screen, Bill, and it's like four TVs on one, 65, 65, and it's 4 games on. And when they come in the room, I'm like, get out, leave me alone, But oh, but Bill, I can't wait to do this next week. Now, next week we will talk about the first team All American defensive side of the ball, first and second team as well. Anything else you want to throw out next week as topics, Bill?
No, not that I know of. We'll have to take a look at the schedule, see how week 1 goes, and one of the things I'm going to do, I made a decision here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change my background to the game of the week.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So, this is obviously just the
Mm-hmm.
photo. So I got a little green screen back here.
Okay.
So we'll have to see what comes up for next week. I have to look at the schedule a little closer. Of course, that West Virginia Penn State game, we may stay right here with this one, but
Yeah, I think we will. That's going to be a hell of a game. I think my game of the week, Bill, is probably going to be that Monday night game, LSU, Florida State to me.
Sunday.
Sunday night. It's Sunday night, exactly. Mhm.
Sunday night. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was Monday night too, and the
Mhm.
reason I know that is because I checked because I thought it
Okay.
was.
Yeah, I thought it was a
I
Monday
thought it
night
was
for some
late night.
reason. Yeah, I thought it was Monday as well.
No,
Okay.
it's Sunday night football.
Oh, that's the weekend where I won't probably leave the house. I mean, other than
So
going to church, and that's it.
yeah, the Penn State West Virginia game is Saturday night, and the
Mhm.
Florida State LSU game is Sunday night.
And you know, Bill, real quick before we get out here, that's a good thing actually this year that Big Ten football is going to be under the lights on Saturday night a lot more. That's
Yep,
something I love to see. I
yep.
always thought Big Ten, going back to the Ohio State days, Ohio State usually played the games at noon, which bothered
Ohio
me a
State,
lot.
Michigan was always at noon. Yep,
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll have it, this year under the lights. I think Big Ten football under the lights, even if you don't like football, this is something must see TV you have to check out.
absolutely.
I agree, 100%.
I have a feeling we'll be doing that.
I think so. I think they will be. I hope so. I think the Notre Dame Ohio State game is going to be under the lights. I think that's going to be under the lights. But
Yep.
we will see, Bill. We will see. All right, Bill. Once
All
again,
right.
man, I appreciate you doing this with me. And you know what? We'll be next week. We'll be doing the same thing, same time, same two people talking college football.
All right. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
Bill. I'll see you next week, brother.
Okay, my man.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
You too.